I'm Brooke on behalf of Interior Motions, and today I will be speaking to Lindsay Hickey, the head of talent and careers for BSI. As the head of talent and careers, she clearly knows a thing or two about workplace organization, and today she'll be sharing some of her insights with us. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, Brooke. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Let's jump into some of the questions. What does an organized workplace look like to you?
So I think the important thing to consider when communicating about an organized workplace is it is going to be individualized. We live in a very individualized world now, and people like to make decisions and have ideas that are really, they work best for them. Something that works really well for me is following this kind of tenet of a concept called hygge. It's a Danish word and it kind of means coziness. And so I think that a lot of people don't think about hygge when they're designing a workplace, but it has a lot of great tips inside of it. So things like simplicity, clean lines, opportunities for togetherness and collaboration, and those types of tenets. So again, I think when I consider what works really well for me, it is that creating a sense of peace and control. Also that I can project a really professional image in the workplace. And so for me, that translates into a few simple items, but mostly myself asking the questions like, is this working for me? Do I use it? And do I find it to be beautiful?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I'll have to do some further research on that.
It's a really cool concept.
So what are some of the benefits of being organized?
So I think the great part about organization is that it impacts all aspects of your life and gives you a tremendous amount of freedom, both personally and professionally. Some ideas that I've come across in, books and articles that I've read include some obvious ideas around saving time, money, space, and energy, which of course we're all looking for more of.
Right.
Perhaps some less obvious ones are fostering peace in your relationships, creating sanctuary, reducing guilt. That's something I really gravitate towards. We don't need more things to feel guilty about. And so just, we need to go ahead and tackle this. I also really like the next idea about allowing me to project a more positive identity to myself in the world. This is incredibly important in this professional sphere. And I don't think a lot of people understand that kind of level of connectivity. It's most especially important given all of the digital mediums that we're using to communicate with people. So perhaps some of the tricks that we used previously, no longer work. And so having that sense of control and space and preparedness allows you to project that positive image. And the final one I'll share is relieving me from the fear of other people's judgment. This might not be so impactful in a home office space because you don't tend to share that with other people. But nevertheless, if you ever had the experience where you want to invite someone into your home and yet you feel embarrassed by that, or you rush to blur your background because you're embarrassed by what's behind you, those are signals that you are probably would benefit from organization and kind of be freed from that fear of other people's expectations.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So do you have any final quick and easy tips for people who are really struggling with organization?
I have lots of tips.
Good.
I would say that it's definitely an evolutionary process for everybody, and it's definitely a habit that you need to develop over time. But I'll break this up into two parts. The first is kind of the tips related to getting started if you're struggling. So the first tip that I have is around preparing yourself to make choices. Organization typically is not something that people want to do because it's incredibly taxing, both mentally and physically. And the reason for that is because they have to make lots and lots of choices in a very small period of time. Do I use this pen? What kind of paper
Right.
do I need? Those types of
Right.
questions. So just save it for a time when you have the kind of mental capacity to invest in it and directly not get distracted with other things. My second idea is around overcoming those excuses. Typically, people feel unorganized because they've given themselves a lot of excuses for why they don't need to be. That's not who I am. is a good one, or I need to experience creativity, and normally creativity, people don't perceive that as also organized.
Mhm.
Or maybe I just don't have time, I'm a very busy person. But I would encourage you to address those excuses head on and try to develop strategies to overcome them. And the third and final is kind of find your why. And this connects, I think, up to the previous question that you asked me before. But we are all very motivated to do things when we find purpose and value in them. So, whatever your why is, I would use that to motivate yourself to overcome your excuses.
Those are such great tips that I know I can definitely apply to my own organization habits. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.